For me, with the Attack on Titan season 4 intro, I did not like it at first. I thought it was boring as hell, and then I kept watching it. And I kind of really like it.
Yeah, I don't really care for like Attack on Titan is a great show, of course, but I don't care for a lot of the intros and like they don't grasp me in any shape or fashion. That's odd.
Alright, what up, you guys? I'm Bryson Smith.
And I'm Javin, and this is Etcetera.
Woo! It is.
But
make sure to follow us on all social medias if you're new. Thank you for stopping by. We appreciate it. We appreciate any type of comments, negative or positive.
Especially negative.
Especially negative. But today's conversation is going to be about anime intros and outros versus American intros and outros. We were talking about this in my car, and we thought it'd be so cool to talk about because when you think about American intros and outros, I mean, very few, they usually don't have the same impact that an anime intro or outro would.
It's true.
At all. Like, I was talking about how much nostalgia, and you do get nostalgia from certain American shows, but I feel like it's way more of an impact with anime. Like, I was talking about the Inuyasha intros and outros and how much, like, I just remember watching those a lot as I was growing up, and they really, like, the visuals, like you made a good point too. You said that Javin said that he thinks that they don't spend he thinks that the production value for anime is more than the production for like a Western or American intro and outro. Which it would seem to so, yeah.
And it appeals more towards older audiences as well as younger audiences.
Right. That's true.
That's not untrue for some American cartoons, like, you know, there's Rick and Morty and stuff like that.
Right.
But I would argue that cartoons are almost always comedic, and they're almost always
like American cartoons?
Yeah, American cartoons. So more comedic, more oriented towards kids, or even if they're oriented towards adults, it's still in the context of a childlike thing. Like Rick and Morty is based off of Back to the Future, which it's a whole thing. While anime is just very broad in its genres. It's serious, it's hard, it's mature, it's, you know, comedy, it's a whole bunch of things. And so I would argue that cartoons are aimed towards being catchy. That the intro would be like catchy. It's a catchy intro and it sticks with you, and there's so many that we love. Except for maybe Avatar The Last Airbender, is it an anime? Is it not? We'll argue that later.
I still haven't seen all of that show.
I'll kill you.
Which is shame on me. I know.
Kill you, Bryson.
Shame on me.
If I'm shivering, I'm cold, by the way. It's
very cold. But what I was going to say, there's definitely more diversity in terms of age ranges when it comes to anime versus like Western or shows, not anime, I'm sorry. Because like what you said, they do only target certain little kids. And it also makes me think, like, do you think that American cartoons are popular, but do you think they'd be more popular if it was kind of targeted towards a broad spectrum of people?
Easily.
Just like anime?
More than that, a broad spectrum of genres. I'm really surprised that cartoons aren't oriented towards a broad spectrum of genres. Now, I know we've gotten like...
We have a few ones, but it's not like how it is with anime.
My issue is like, we've got like Castlevania.
That's great show.
Basically an anime, though. Show. It's essentially an anime.
But
I know. It's not fair.
Castlevania is really good. I love
so
Castlevania.
Good.
I binge watched that. I was disappointed in the last season only because of the fact that I wasn't long enough. That was my disappointment. I wish it was longer. But no, Castlevania is great. Definitely geared toward an older audience.
And it's a different genre. It's dark. Right. It's not strictly comedic. I would consider it, in my personal opinion, essentially an anime. But its intro, while not legendary, pretty fucking hard. Pretty good. Like the imagery is pretty visceral.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
There's definitely anime influences in it. In terms of like outros and intros, I don't think Castlevania's intros or outros really stand out to me.
They don't.
But the story is really great. If we're gonna be talking about intros and outros that have stand out to me, definitely Inuyasha, Fullmetal Alchemist, and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Naruto.
Naruto. So my favorite intro in Naruto is the season 4 opening. What is it called? I forget what it's called, but season 4 Naruto, not Shippuden, but like the regular Naruto. Season 4 opening is my favorite. What else is there? There's so many. I already said Fullmetal Alchemist, right? Yeah, I did.
let's
Death Note season 2. Was it season? Yes, that like hardcore metal intro is so great. Not a big fan of any Attack on Titan intros or outro. I'm a fan of the show.
The first season intro, I love it. It's so fucking good. It's catchy. I love it. But okay, so let's talk about first our favorites. You said Inuyasha was your favorite.
Erased. I love Erased intro. Thinking about them off the top of my head, it's like I feel like they're gonna come to me as the conversation goes. In terms of outros, I also like Inuyasha outros a lot.
They're really good.
I like the Dragon Ball Z, like their movie intros. Whenever there was a Dragon Ball Z movie back then, there
I haven't
was
watched too
certain
many
intros.
of those.
Or even the Dragon Ball Z intros in general.
So we're being kind of vague right now. So let's get into so specifically, I would argue that while in the modern day there's a huge diversity of intros and outros for a bunch of different shows and for multiple different reasons, but definitely how it's been in history, the ones who set intros and outros as like an art form, I would argue is almost undeniable. Like there are two, maybe. One would be sitcoms, and even then they're not like masterclass or anything, but they definitely have intros that stick with you. And whatever. And cartoons, cartoons kind of piggybacked off of that. Like there's Bewitched and Sabrina, Bewitched. Like a whole bunch. Everybody hates Chris.
Everybody hates. That's definitely one that. Yeah. Okay.
And cartoons followed suit, but anime had a completely different history altogether, and they specifically went towards it being an art form in and of itself. It is a whole art piece. Animating the whole thing, you can go really fucking hard with it. The music you can choose, and it just led to, I think, the origins of what a good intro is. So let's talk about why our favorites are our favorites. So my personal favorite is the Soul Eater intro, the anime for Soul Eater. Amazing, watch it. If not just for the intro, if the show's not your flavor, fine. But the intro is so fucking good.
Why they would be your favorite is because of the melodies, the visuals, all those things stick to you when you they stick to you. Versus and yes, like I was saying earlier, certain American shows do, but it's not the same.
Catchy, not profound.
And I think the reason why is when you watch these shows, you develop like this emotional attachment to the characters in the show, and you do with Western shows too, but not as deep as you would with an anime character.
Right, and
for sure, like that would have to be it. Along with the great production, and also it just came to me. Another one of my favorite intros and outros is Mushishi. It's a great show.
I haven't watched it, but I know
great music, yeah. So I think that's why it's that like that emotional, intimate connection with the show and the characters that you just don't get from like Camp Laszlo or Courage the Cowardly Dog, which are all great shows. Of course, there's nostalgia. You get nostalgia when you watch them, or like Rugrats. I mean, that intro, that tune, that do. Yeah, it's like it's fun and
it's there for you.
It's not.
Yeah, Blues
as deep
Clues.
as it would. Yeah, like of course you remember all these and they stick out, but they don't have the same effect that anime would. If you're like a true anime fan,
Right, and I think a really good example is one thing. Anime intros aren't a slogan. They're not just like, hey, I'm Naruto. We're singing about Naruto right now. They don't do that. It is its own art piece. They'll choose original music or music that already exists and try to match it with the theme. And I think that's really cool because anime intro, or rather a good anime intro, we tried to have a discussion about bad anime intros. I think they're so forgettable that we actually can't think of one. If it's bad enough, you will never remember it for the rest of your life.
Right. No one's like, this intro is so bad, you have to watch it. No one says that.
Because then it's a good intro. Like after
I couldn't think of one. I'm like, wait, bad intros. I mean, there might be some you dislike or you might favor over the other, but I can't think of a bad one because they're so bad.
Please tell us if there are. I would love to see one. But
I hate this intro. Like I just can't stand it.
So a good intro, usually it's memorable, first of all. Like that's an important distinction. And why it's memorable is one of two things. It's either the visuals or the music that you choose.
The song will stick to you for sure.
Oh god, forever.
Yeah,
even if the music's not good, but the anime like visual for the intro is like fucking rock solid, you'll remember the song no matter what.
And then some intros and outros grow on you. Usually, like, there'll be like a show you're watching, you kind of don't care for the intro or outro of it, but then as like you progress through the show, it kind of sticks to you. Like, no, I really like this.
I know.
That's how I felt with Dororo. I didn't really care for the intro at first, but as I got deeper into it, I was like, this is dope as hell.
Same for me with the Attack on Titan season 4 intro. I did not like it at first. I thought it was boring as hell, and then I kept watching it. I'm like, I kind of really like it.
Yeah, I don't really care for, like, Attack on Titan is a great show, of course, but I don't care for a lot of the intros and out. Like, they don't grasp me in any shape or fashion.
That's odd.
Great show though. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I get it.
It's no song I've heard on that show that's just like, dang, this is amazing. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that disagree with me, especially the AOT fans.
Oh, please fight Bryson on this. I need to see internet arguments. I'll
just tell him it just doesn't stick to me. Like, I don't know what. I'm not gonna fake it and be like, yo, this is amazing. The show is definitely gearing into like masterpiece conversation with me. But I need it to finish. We're in the last season, so
yeah.
Before I go around saying it's a masterpiece, like, bro, we haven't even finished it. What if they fuck it up in the end?
Watch our predictions episode. We talk more about that.
That should be up by now.
But what makes a good intro? I kind of wanted to just dissect my favorite one, okay. Soul Eater. What makes a good one to me is it's musically interesting and catchy. Mm-hmm. It visually kind of encapsulates the point of the show. And it's beautiful. It has a diversity of shots, angles, fight scenes, either from the show or original. And what I like about Soul Eaters is the song perfectly matches the aesthetic of the show. The visuals introduce you to each character and its art style, and it's gorgeous. And I fucking like. You go up through the city, and the city's so gorgeous and visually aesthetically pleasing, and that's what you like about the show. And the music is just enhancing every single beat of it.
Right.
And then
about Death Note.
It's so fucking good. And every time I think about Soul Eater, and I'm like, I have to explain it to somebody, I'm like, I could just show them the intro, and they would honestly get the point of the show.
That.
I kind of feel the same way, not to interrupt, but I kind of feel the same way about Fire Force. The intro for Fire Force. I
still gotta watch that show. I always get
good.
recommended.
It's so. I'm gonna.
That'll probably be the next show I start. That and Dr. Stone, because I've been hearing a lot. Yeah, and you've been telling me about Dr. Stone. But what I was going to say was so everything we're talking about, as far as anime, all these. I feel like everything we've been talking about, American shows have not been able to grasp.
They haven't. Yeah.
Like, that's why I feel like anime intros and outros are better, because I feel like I couldn't talk about this with like a Camp Lazlo. It just would not have that effect. Yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Just the image in my mind where you're like, oh shit, wasn't that one Naruto or like Fairy Tail intro like so fucking hard and amazing? And then they're like, yeah, but like, have you seen the Camp Lazlo?
No comparison. Like, so if this was a competition, anime would win by a long stretch.
Easily,
because there's just so much more depth to it.
They work hard. Now, there is no denying that because of the sheer amount of anime that's out there are garbage intros that are just generic ass song, like basic rock song in Japanese, like
J-rock.
Yeah, like and just generic bits from the show, maybe a few shots of the characters just kind of like standing there, and that's it. That doesn't grab you. It doesn't make you curious about what's going to happen. It doesn't make you feel like, oh, my show's on. You're just like, yep, that's the intro.
And like really good intros and outros will have like original and actual scenes from the show, like put into the. I always like the original images they use for like an intro. They still paint the picture, but they don't give you exactly what it is. I just think it's really cool, especially when you got the music intensifying everything. Like it's really good when they do that.
And one advantage that cartoons do have is that as many generic anime intros that are out there almost every single cartoon has a pretty memorable title sequence. It usually has a pretty good intro that you remember. And a lot of anime doesn't. The good anime, over the top, better than anything cartoons have ever produced in history.
Period.
They're always pretty memorable. Like, I'll always remember like most cartoons intros.
Yeah, but I feel like it's more so just because of like nostalgia.
That's fair.
Not so much like this opening's dope. Like even in Naruto, which season was it? But the season 3. Where Naruto Shippuden, I'm sorry. But it was the season where Sasuke was finally going to fight his brother. But the imagery in that opening was so dope. Because I remember there was a clip of it had basically like had all the Akatsuki members outside. They were sitting on these stairs or something outside of where Sasuke and Itachi were fighting. Completely original, because that wasn't in the actual show, but it lets you know what was going on, and it was showing that they were fighting. Just like they really do well when they do it, they do it.
You know what? You're right. Actually, like I actually do prefer the original more than when they show little clips of the actual show. Like when they make an original.
Oh yeah, original. Yeah, it's just really cool, and you know what they're talking about, and it just looks and feels good.
It's better to do it that way, in my opinion, because that way you can show some clues as to what's going to happen throughout the season without it being an actual.
And that's exactly
spoiler.
What that was. It's like showing you what's about to happen, and it's just really cool when they do that.
It's so I love anime. Like even let's talk about things that. Just the sheer diversity. Dorohedoro is an anime I'm watching right now.
Okay.
Pretty good. I would highly recommend it, unless you don't like grotesque things and don't watch it. But the intro is so off the walls bonkers. It is wild. Right. And I've never seen a cartoon match that level of absurdity ever. Like even the zaniest cartoon could not match how ridiculous that anime intro is. It's a bunch of lizard heads, and then they have like fucking dumpling heads, and there's a cat chasing this human bug around, and it falls into a sink, and there's this chick who's making delicious looking food. It just gets fucking wild. And no cartoon, no matter how crazy it is, will ever leave me sitting there being like, oh, wow, what's gonna happen in this fucking anime?
This conversation sparks another conversation for me, but I feel like it's gonna be impossible to have. So basically, we clearly both appreciate anime, and we are clearly choosing anime like as better intros and outros. So like I have a thought in my head. I'm like, what if we have like 2 other guests on here that like American cartoons over anime cartoons? But I feel like if we find that person, they've only watched American cartoons, so they'd only you would need someone to watch both anime and Western cartoons, which we both have. But I feel like if you've watched anime cartoons, you would know that they're just better.
It's almost not a fair fight.
It's not.
But on some level, here's what I will agree. Rick and Morty's pretty fucking hard. It's pretty good. Bob's Burgers and then that's is pretty good. Okay. Family Guy is pretty legendary. South Park, and I know those are.
But are they hitting you like anime? Are they really hitting?
But no, they're not. But
so I was like, wait,
no, they're not. They're not. But I would argue that maybe step up your game. No, okay. To be fair, Rick and Morty does have emotional impact. It actually does get to the point where you're like, shit, wow, that's really rough. And I feel like American cartoons are only recently kind of coming into their own in that respect. While anime has had time.
I don't even think they're recently coming into their own, because the stuff I've seen on Disney and Nickelodeon, I feel like the cartoons have only gotten worse.
Okay.
And that could just be me getting old, but I'm looking at this and I'm like, they've got like the cartoons. I feel like we really sound old, but honestly, I feel like the cartoons that we grew up with were way better. And what's the name of the brain fart? Really popular group of black friends. They do like Anime World and stuff.
Oh shit!
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do know what you're talking about.
Anyways, a few years ago they did a video on like it was kind of viral, but they did a video on like how it was like the best cartoons they had when they were younger, and they're like around our age, so it was like I remember all these, all the Cartoon Network episodes, our shows, Toonami, like all those, and I'm like, yo, those were the ones. That was like the best cartoons.
Bryson,
what's up?
I'm trying to think of like American cartoons that I'm like, oh shit, well that was really fucking good, and I keep looping back to them like that's basically an anime though.
And then
Avatar: The Last Airbender is one where it's like that intro sticks with you for the rest of your life, and it doesn't go like fucking hard on you, but it's like it encapsulates the show. It has original imagery. I would say in terms of an intro, pretty fucking solid, but it is Asian themed, made by Asian people a lot. Not exclusively. It was created by, I think, Americans. But it was inspired.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, that I would say American cartoons got pretty good. And as an American cartoon, its content is phenomenal. And then I was like, oh, Bryson, come on, Teen Titans. That's so good.
I love Teen Titans,
and the intro
Teen Titans,
rock solid.
Teen Titans is great. I love Teen Titans.
And it's essentially an anime.
Really?
It's
I've never thought of Teen
if you
Titans
watch
as
the
anime.
first 3 episodes, it's like, oh, these are all anime tropes. These are all anime things that they do.
I feel like that's kind of controversial. I've never thought of Teen Titans as an anime.
Let's
so
fucking
I feel like
do it.
People would be like, wait, no, and then some probably agree with you. So that's why I say that is controversial.
We should.
I'm not. I mean, yeah, I never thought of Teen Titans as an anime. I always thought it was like an American just cartoon, but I don't know.
It's really good though. Like
No,
in terms of the emotion, I know.
And we're
just
talking about not the nowadays Teen Titans, the bad one, the good one from like what was it, 06?
Yeah.
Like
Oh god, it
08,
was so
like,
long ago.
Yeah, I know.
And
But that one.
it was so. Well, what's really impressive is that it was a very random idea to have a show about it, but it was really it treated them
good.
like adults. Like it was really cool.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you don't understand every little bit of it, but you understand that there's some serious moments and that they matter.
Oh, definitely.
I think other than maybe Samurai Jack, there are very
great
few
show.
great show.
It's weird because Samurai Jack, I feel like, is one of those shows that like, okay, I feel like when you typically think of a childhood, like a children's show, you probably wouldn't do a Samurai Jack. I mean, no words, like very few to any words. Yeah, it was a hit and it worked.
That's amazing,
right?
That's a triumph.
That
for
definitely
American
is
cartoons.
And because it was good, it was like intense and it was fun to watch and it was cool and it was like it had all those elements that I guess children would like, except no words, which you wouldn't think that children would like, but they did. Because I remember watching that all the time, and I know they brought it back recently as of a few years ago, but I don't think it did too well.
It didn't do as good
as
but
it
like,
did back then.
It appealed to those who
really
appealed
appreciate.
to.
Yeah, but yeah, Samurai Jack is definitely classic. I don't even remember the intro or outro though of it, but I think that's. Oh no, okay, yeah, I remember. See, yeah, Samurai Jack was hard. Yeah,
it was good. Yeah, so that's definitely a really good one. And
but is that kind of anime? No, that's an American.
That's definitely. But again, very Asian themed and inspired.
Yes, definitely.
It's just really
it all comes back to Asian culture when you start talking about like the most popular cartoons or anime. It's like
it's almost like they looked at Japan's cartoons and were like,
"Yep,
why aren't we doing way better?" And they add in a tiny little bit, and the whole thing is immediately better.
Right.
The only exception, I would argue, not an intro. Again, American cartoon intros are normally pretty decent. Like you'll always remember them and they'll stick with you. And that
right.
Camp Laszlo
they will.
even will stick with you.
Yeah, the point was is not as deep as like a
right. And I would say American cartoons definitely lack in that regard. But in terms of content, like Kids Next Door.
Kids Next Door, yes.
Love that show. Definitely very appealing. And it actually had some pretty serious moments that actually were pretty profound.
That show was dope.
Yeah. It's impressive. I guess we're not arguing that no American cartoons exist that have that impact, although intros maybe step it up a little bit. But a lot of it. Like, come on, get crazy. Like, go wild with it. You could do anything you fucking want. Why limit yourself to so little?
I don't think they can. You can't. I mean, how are they gonna? To do that, you got to up the music because the music plays a huge role in it. Original art pieces and whatnot. I mean, scenes and stuff like that. I just don't see Western cartoons like doing that.
You're right.
I don't know. There's something about, and then even the Japanese language is a beautiful language. Like I took Japanese as a learning language for a little bit, And when you begin to learn the language, it's so easy to read and retain information. Like with the kanji, I'm like, wow. Like if you learn kanji, it's so because when you talk about kanji, like kanji, it represents a lot of things in one. It's not just one word. So when you could just read a lot of kanji, it's like whoosh, you just get all the information, and then it just sounds really pretty in my opinion.
No, I agree. Yeah. We're one day planning on going to Japan, and I've got to learn some Japanese for that. So hopefully. I'm a little bit worried that Japanese will sound a little more boring once I've learned it, but maybe
no, that sounds depressing. Not at all. Listen, within my experience with what I was learning, I'm like, this is dope as hell.
Fair.
But did you want to say something?
I just my whole point was the show's cartoons as an art form have been enhanced and developed by Japan more than probably any other country in the world, except for. No, more than any other country in the world.
I was like,
second place probably being America.
Right.
Definitely
I agree
being
with that.
America. And I think the more America draws its inspiration from Japan, the way like our cartoons will dramatically improve, as well as creating our own original stuff. But like if we look at all those examples of hard-hitting cartoons that are really fucking good, they're almost always Japanese or Asian inspired.
And I don't think that's going to change.
I don't think. Yeah.
With like American cartoons might get better, but I think Japan has got that on lock. I can't see American cartoons intros and outros getting better than.
To wrap it up, because we are almost out of time. What's your favorite outro?
Oh man, it'd probably I don't know, I always lean towards there's so many. I think about the Mushishi outro, and then I also think about a few Inuyasha outros. I feel like I could not just name one in particular that's the one. But when we talk about intros, Naruto season 4 intro is definitely that's like my favorite, if not like one of my favorites. Yeah.
I would say outros probably don't get as much love as intros, which is reasonable. I mean, you're done. You finished watching the episode.
I always watch outros though.
I always check if they're good. Yeah. And if they're not, then I'm like, I mean, whatever, who cares? But one that stood out to me was this one called Blood Battle Blockade. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's
Blood Battle Blockade?
Yeah, Blood Battle Blockade. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. It's a really, really good anime I watched a while back, and its outro is like jazz. It's like jazzy and it's fun, and there's like a little dance sequence. Also,
I think of Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, honestly, like it's just really fun, and I had a lot of fun watching it, and I would always watch the outro because I'm like, this is a lot of fun. I feel like outros definitely.
Brain blast.
Fucking Boku no Hero My Hero Academia. Mm-hmm. Its outro is really interesting, not musically, but its outro is instead of it being in a contemporary superhero world, it's in a fantasy world, and it has a bunch of art with Deku in a fantasy world getting the sword and a bunch of characters like knights and wizards. It's like an AU, and I always found that so cool.
That's dope.
Having that as an outro, it's like, this is what it could have been if I did it a different way.
Yeah, that's dope. I like that.
Yeah, that was so cool.
The fact that it gives you that imagery.
Unfortunately, can't get everything today, but like another thing I like about intros is when they do different kinds of intros every episode. That's really hard to do.
Oh, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of production. That's like.
But it's definitely applauded when you can do it. Like, Jesus, that's dedication to even the intro. Just the intro you're dedicating yourself to.
I mean, we'll definitely make this like a series of some sort. I know we wanted to do a series of just comparing like anime with regular cartoons from every fashion. But we're going to wrap it up from here.
Yeah.
Make sure to follow us on all of our social media. Follow me on TikTok at It's Me Bryson. It's with a Z. It's Me Bryson. And Javin, you just made yours too, right? I made
a very, very, very small TikTok account called Hey Javin, Hey_Javin. And hopefully it's good content. I like it, and I hope you will too. Tell us your favorite and least favorite anime intros.
And outros.
And outros,
for
frankly.
Sure.
Yeah, I need to see more outros. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.